Good morning, it's Ginny and Tim from DSTech in Escanaba, Michigan, and we are going to talk about productivity apps. Last week, we talked about some productivity habits to help you be more productive in 2024. So we thought we'd do another episode mentioning some apps that we've used and some that we are looking at possibly using. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I use a lot of apps. I'm the app queen. Yep. I mean, I have a ton of apps on my phone.
And they're always changing. What you use this year might be different next year.
Right, because I'm always finding something new. So anyway, and sometimes they bundle up all into one, and then you're like, oh, I can use it all in this app. Anyway, but before I do, make sure you hit our website, dstech.net, comment, ask us questions. Drop your favorite apps that you use for productivity, because I would love to see what you use. And when you go to our website, you can sign up for your free security assessment, your free galactic scan, which is free as of now. We don't know how long that will last. So let's dive into what we have. Number one.
Yeah. So first thing they list here, they list Apple Notes. So it says, they like Apple Notes. They're handy when they're on the road and they're shared from different devices. So like if you had your iPhone, your iPad, all that stuff, they're all kind of syncing together.
I use Google Keep.
So Google Keep, any sort of note-taking solution, OneNote. I mean, they're all kind of the same. It says Apple Notes here, but it's interchangeable with whatever. But the idea of just having some sort of note-taking application on your phone that can then sync between, because you never know, when you're having a conversation or something might happen, you can just put a little note, whether it's work-related or even personal. If my significant other mentions something that she likes one time, I'll put a little separate one about gifts, and I'll keep little notes, and at the end of the year,
Alexa has a note-taking.
So,
she does, because when I'm in the kitchen, I'm always yelling at her. I'm like, will you put this on my list? And then the kids do too, so that, of course they're going to college, but and you can tell her to take a note. So there's several ways you can take notes.
So either way, having some sort of note program is very handy to keep your productivity, keep your notes just handy. Obviously, most people can type faster than they can write. At least I can. So it helps me as well. So
I'm going to look this one up.
So now they have Audible. So this is basically, it's a productivity hack, is listening to books at 1.5 times the speed. This person uses Audible to listen to all sorts of business and professional growth. So the idea is this Audible, I think it's an online service, probably like ebooks, e-reading, but any sort of like...
Actually, it's audiobooks.
Audiobooks only?
Yeah.
Okay, so only audiobooks with that. That's kind of a tip I use that you down later too with like videos. I always like to watch YouTube videos at like 1.5 speed, things like that, just
sometimes
to go faster. Sometimes two, depending on the person. So
now,
it is nice.
I use something called Everand.
Everand?
Yep, that's what I use, because it's $8 a month, where the Audible is more like $20.
Okay.
So, and it's the same thing. You get all kinds of audiobooks. And then I'll give you another tip. I found two apps, I think. One was called Speechify, which will read PDFs to you.
Oh, wow.
And now because of AI, it doesn't sound like a complete
Microsoft robot.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, that is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's actually a huge part. Translation is becoming a huge thing where people, they may have only, say, video games or books that are usually only made in 2 or 3 languages. People are able to take all the old artwork, whatever, and now they can instantly, using AI, retranslate it for like 20 languages.
That's amazing.
So it's allowing things to become more expansive. So I see Audible, audiobooks, these kind of things. Definitely good. Nice for road trips too. Throw in an audiobook. Great to pass the time, that kind of a thing too. So yeah.
Well, and you know what? When, I don't know, some people can't do it, but when I'm driving, I'm like listening to my audiobook. So that time is my learning time, right? Because I'm driving to work anyway. So I get an hour of learning every single day.
Yeah, there and back.
It's kind of cool.
Yep. Next one here is talking about ChatGPT. And again, we're not endorsing any of these specific apps, so to say. It's just the idea of, they're all interchangeable for whatever. So not just with ChatGPT. Some talks about it's a tool that can help boost productivity in multiple ways. All the different stuff from asking it questions, rewriting things for you, a lot of that stuff. And then there's other ones out there helping you word things better. One thing that's kind of neat is if you had like a meeting, you could have it be transcribed for you and then take the transcription and run it through an AI and give me meeting notes from this meeting real quick. And now, boom, you're done instead of writing meeting notes out.
You know what I've done before?
Yeah.
I've taken our YouTube transcripts, stuffed them in there and said, write me a blog post with all of the stuff we talked about in this YouTube video, and it'll spit it out. It's not perfect. It's
always a rough draft.
Yeah,
so what I tell people is like, when you use these AI tools and stuff, never always just take what they say as like the end all word. It's meant to just be, they get that rough draft for you, and then you can kind of tweak it a little bit and then do the final polishing on it.
So in addition to ChatGPT, there's Bard, which is the Google version.
Google version, and I think there's then there's the Bing,
the
Microsoft
Bing
one too.
On Microsoft's Edge browser. It's right there. It's ChatGPT 4 actually behind it. What else is there? We've used a few of them.
There's so many.
Claude. I've used Claude before, but then I started using Bard again. And I don't know. I just switch around because they give me different answers.
Yep. So, it's like almost reminds me of back in the day when search engines first started. You had like Alta Vista, Web Crawler, Ask Jeeves, all these search engines out there, and then you'd almost do a search in 3 or 4 of them to get the answer. I did not use Dogpile.
You didn't use Dogpile? Oh.
So
am I that much older than you?
Maybe. But
Dogpile like combined them all.
Oh, really?
It was like it would take like 5 different browsers and like
combine
the searches.
I had a similar thing when people had like ICQ Instant Messenger, AOL Instant Messenger, MSN Messenger. There was all the different messengers. There was one called Trillium, which was a messenger that had all the messengers within it. So anyway,
fun stuff.
Yeah. This one here is called Clockify. I have not heard of that one yet. So tracking, spending your time, blah, blah, blah. So so time management tools. So again, whatever you prefer to use, whether it's Clockify or you have some sort of scheduling thing built in, whatever, having some sort of time management system is good to have in place. One thing I will say though, with a lot of alerts with like times and all these audibles and all the notifications and stuff, people can get alert fatigued, where they just get so many alerts. It's like the boy who cried wolf. At some point, you're going to just stop listening to the alerts. So you might so just make sure that when you're configuring these alerts and these things that you're doing it in a way to where you actually want to hear each alert, so you don't just start to ignore them and then they're useless at that point.
Yeah. Evernote is another note-taking
app.
So
that would be like app tools. Evernote, same thing, just some sort of note-taking tool that can sync between devices is really what's handy. Is it something on your laptop, you can talk to your phone and vice versa, all that.
This one evidently records calls and stuff, so you can take transcripts. I don't know, but our VoIP system does that for us.
Yeah, if you have a VoIP system, like through us, our system will take all your calls, transcribe them, whatever you can listen to your recordings, all that kind of stuff is built in. But if you didn't have like a VoIP system, I think that's what this is. You could just add this tool to like say your mobile device and have those similar features.
Fireflies is what it's called.
Fireflies. And so it, again, it says you need to be careful what you're discussing, because if it's commercially sensitive, it's going to be the Fireflies app has access to all those conversations that they're doing within that too. So whereas your VoIP hosted system is self-contained into just only us, and you have access to it, not this third party.
This one sounded interesting to me. Focus at will. It's like focus at
with an at symbol and then will. So based on science, the site is a collection of music you can choose from that helps block unproductive and distracting thoughts from your mood, allowing your brain to focus on the desired task. I'm not sure how it works, but it says that it works well. So this seems like it's probably playing like certain like music and certain tones, things like that maybe like they play, like because there's the studies where if you listen to classical music and you have kids do tests, they tend to perform better than with actually in quiet. So it's similar to that. I like to listen to lyricless audio when I work.
I don't know that one.
Because if you put
I thought that was an app.
Yeah, it's just
you're saying lyricless.
Yeah, like just audio,
no lyrics.
Whether it's the orchestral, whether it's a song, whatever. No, that's fine.
You should make an app called Lyricless.
There probably is one out there. But anyway, the idea of like listening to something subtly like that will help keep you. For me anyway, not everyone, but it will help you stay focused.
Well, I think it's actually science. I think there's actually science that backs it up, that says that certain sounds in music,
certain frequencies and stuff like that
help keep you focused, which kind of makes sense, because when I do my meditations, there's certain kinds of meditation music that help me get into that zone better than anyway. So
that makes sense.
There's an app on here for that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. So this one's called Grammarly. To me, this sounds like something that so basically it takes your documents and makes sure their grammar's fixed up. So to me, it sounds like a honed version of ChatGPT, because even in these AIs, you could take your emails or whatever, run it through there, and be like, fix my typos, and it does a decent job. Grammarly seems like it's geared towards just that's all it does, so it probably does a better job at that. I don't know, I haven't vetted it, but a lot of these AI
my kids
tools
use it on their projects for school.
Okay. So Headspace is an app for individuals looking to produce their productivity, all that other stuff. Same thing, meditation, listening exercises, all that. So when we were talked about in our last episode about taking little breaks every once in a while when you're working through the day, having an app like this where you maybe have a little meditation, do your little break can also help. Or just, again, I like to listen to music when I'm working, can also just be helpful there.
Excel.
Excel. So now this is
I use that every day.
Every day. Same thing in high school. I'm like, oh, I never bothered learning Excel or anything. But then when you get into the real world and you realize everything runs on Excel, it's like I wish I would have learned a little bit more, paid attention during those classes. But so if you are new to Excel, there's certain things that can just really speed up your time with it. Just a few tips that once you do use it day to day. Like for me, I sift through lots of data that may have 10,000 lines of data and stuff. So learning to make a table and be able to filter it all is very easy. This is some stuff that you learn as you go, but learning Excel is very valuable even in today's age. So if it's something that you haven't played with a lot, I would recommend playing with it. And even just the shortcut tips you can do can speed up your day so fast.
Even at home, I don't have Excel at home. I use Google spreadsheets.
Google Sheets, yeah.
But you know what? You can use the free version of Microsoft Excel too when you create an online Microsoft account, right? So they have a free version.
Some
just
basic things you probably just can't use, like formulas and macros and all the other advanced features, but just to have some data organized in a certain way would be a good way to get your feet wet in that. So that's good. This one is called Monday. It's project management, it looks like. Some sort of so basically any sort of project management software, usually what it does is it allows you to create a timeline to where, the project is going to start on today, it's going to take 2 weeks. And then within that, you may have goals with like predecessors, successors, meaning like this task can't start until this task is finished. And so when you're mapping out like an overall project, it allows you to kind of have different delegated tasks to different things.
Well, that's Microsoft's name, isn't it? Microsoft Project?
I think they just call theirs Project, Microsoft Project. But Monday sounds similar. It's just a project management software. There's a whole ton of them out there to use. But if you're not using any like that, you do deal with a lot of projects here and there, it would be worth getting into some sort of app like that helps you manage those projects. So
OneNote is another note-taking app.
Yep. So OneNote, same thing, another note-taking app, just like before. It's just good to keep notes and keep tasks on that. This one is called Rescue Time. So it's a time management tool that helps you understand and how to optimize your time. So basically, it looks like time tracker.
Yeah.
And then it will tell you where you're spending your time and habits. So this one, just reviewing this, you could probably run it on your computer, and what it's going to do is track in your 8-hour days. You spent 2 hours in Microsoft products. You spent an hour doing Google products. You did 3 hours on TikTok. You shouldn't have been doing that. You weren't very productive, right? It probably just tracks what you're doing throughout the day and then gives you a nice report of time spent on which activity. And then you can see maybe, out of every day, I'm noticing I'm spending like 33% of my day reviewing emails every morning. Well, maybe you should have some better email practices or workflow, and then you can speed up that certain.
Interesting. He likes that one because I looked for it on Google Play. This one's rated a lot better. That one's only 3.5, but that's interesting. Huh. Anyway, rescue time.
So anything that kind of tracks your time, then you can review it later and see maybe where you can have some.
I'm wasting too much time in the scroll hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Slack is similar to Teams.
Yep, Teams or Discord or any sort of chat communication tool. It's just one a lot of like tech companies will use Slack. So just if you're having some sort of communication tool for your staff to communicate with is handy, because the idea of just sending emails back and forth all the time still happens. But most people like instant response, or when you're collaborating on things, the world is so fast now. Having some sort of centralized chat system, whether it's through your VoIP phone, Teams, Discord, something of that nature to communicate is very handy and will be more productive.
It is handy. We don't even meet in person in our meetings anymore. We just use
the Teams meeting, because then you can just all be right there. And then
we can share our screens. We can share our documents.
You're not trying to I can't see that because someone's head is in front of me in the meeting room. So I can see that being,
It's interesting.
So this one called Spark Mail. So a good email platform is always invaluable. This one talks about different ones. So this basically has all their calendars and emails synced so they don't lose track of important messages. Mac, iPhone, Windows PC, Spark Mail. So basically the idea is that if you didn't have any sort of like Microsoft Outlook or Mozilla Thunderbird, it seems like it's an email client where you can probably have your emails filter through that, and then you might have some additional features to work with that. I personally haven't used it.
Me either. Don't know that one.
But with any.
I use Outlook and I use Gmail. But I'd be curious to check it out.
Yeah. This one's called Structured. It says it's a productivity tool that allows you to create tasks and build a representation of your day ahead. It helps them stay focused and plan to see how each task will take. So it seems like it's visual. So probably what it does is you can plug in your schedule, and then it will give you like bubbles or percentage to show you like what percentage of your day for different tasks. Again, it can help. Sometimes having that visual indicator of what's happening can help you plan where this task is bigger, it's got a bigger bubble than this one, that kind of thing, depending how it works.
Anyway.
This one just lists YouTube and it says that there's lots of content available for free. Any topic from home repair, financial advice, smart ways, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff from professionals, amateurs, entertainers. So with anything, even listening to us, take anything with a grain of salt. Do your due diligence, research. Don't just take someone's word for it on YouTube or on the internet is what I will say.
Anybody can put YouTube
anyone
videos
can
up.
put YouTube videos up. Look at us, right? No, but the idea is that there is a lot of information there. If you needed
some
something
of it's pretty
fixed,
handy.
some of it is very handy. With the list home repairs, if you had to change something on your car, you could watch a ton of videos on it, and you might get some good information that used to be gated behind someone that just has that knowledge.
My husband is an electrician,
Yeah.
but he does. He'll watch some of those videos, and then he fixed our dryer like twice. And I'm like, no way would I do that myself. But anyway.
Yeah, and it's the
but
same
he's
thing.
an electrician, so
and to watch someone else do it too, it gives you the confidence, and you can learn a lot more. That's why I learned a lot of stuff, even about just cybersecurity and computers.
Oh, that's
in
true.
general, is just YouTube. You can be self-taught. It's however much you want to do, but again,
there's a ton of
just
tutorials out there.
Do your due diligence. Check 3 sources. Take an average is my minimum thing before I trust something, and so just do that. But yeah, it's very all the information is out there with the internet. You just have to want to grab it.
Calendar apps.
So calendar apps, this is like Calendly. I've seen that with other people. I don't use it myself, but there's apps that can integrate into your Outlook and your email. So that way you can give someone like a URL, and then they can schedule a meeting with you based on your availability already. So the idea is that it already knows my schedule, all my tickets are assigned, and maybe I have a 1 hour gap on Friday between 1 and 2. If I gave someone my Calendly link, basically they get a link to my calendar, and it only allows them to schedule meetings with open times that don't already have something assigned to me.
You could do that in your Outlook calendar, I guess, now.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sure there's probably a way to do it built in too. But,
I haven't
Google
messed with
Calendar
it because I don't make a lot of appointments, but
Right.
I think Eric uses it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
So any sort of calendar app is helpful, especially if you're one that does do lots of meetings and you don't want to have to micromanage your meeting and constantly offer like 5 times to someone and tell them, can you pick one of these times and then schedule?
Yeah, and then
just
you
be
go back and forth, wasting time.
Here's the link, pick a time that works for you, and then it gets added to my calendar. It saves a lot of time.
Yep, for sure. Password managers.
Yes, so we've talked about
We're
this a
all
lot.
for that.
Yes, having some sort of password manager, because if you don't have a password manager, you tend to fall into having easier to remember passwords that you're used to. Where with the password manager, I could have a 32-character password that is complete nonsense that I would never remember, but it's super secure. And then having everything just in there, you could have a different password for every portal, which you should do. So you're not going to get in the habit of reusing passwords, which is common when you're not using a password manager because you have 40 accounts to log into. It's very human nature just to reuse it or similar passwords. So having a password manager is definitely a huge step in the right direction towards your security. So not just at work, but at home, get a personal one and start setting up your accounts and your family members into them too. Definitely. So there's a bunch of them out there to use. Internally we use Keeper, but there's this is Bitwarden and 1Password, which are 2 I know that are out there as well too. Yeah.
I've used, on the next little list, I've used Trello. I've looked at Asana, I never used it, and I think I looked at Todoist, but Trello is pretty cool. It's like you can share like tasks with a team.
Okay.
Like you make this little board and it has these little cards on it. It kind of reminds me of sticky notes, really, but you can assign tasks in there, and it's kind of cool. You can share some.
I've seen it as a very light version of a project management software in a sense, because the idea is you might have this goal, right, and then you have different sticky notes assigned to different people. So like you have one goal of to do something, say build a house, right? Well, you have, you're going to do the roof, you're going to do the foundation, you're going to do this, and you have different cards delegated to different team members who do the different tasks. So that way, when the end of it, everyone does their part. At the end, the house is built. So I think that's kind of the idea behind that. So
those apps, Trello, Asana.
There's Trello, Asana, and Todoist. So yeah, anything to keep you stay organized is handy. Because as humans, you only got so much memory and time in the day. So.
All of that is in our Microsoft tools too.
Yep. A lot of the Microsoft Productivity Suite does have a lot of stuff built into it. Yeah, it does for sure.
So I think that's about it. We covered a lot. If you have any questions about any of those apps, and I'll keep this list in case you do, and that way I can answer you. If you're looking for one, go for it.
One final tip I'll put out there is to not be afraid of the AI assistants, because that's what everyone is like. AI, all this other stuff. My advice is if you have a job where you can play with AI, do it, because AI is kind of like the new search engine where back in the day, people would search, and those who were good at searching, finding information kind of excelled. And it's
Get
been the
good
same
at
way
it.
with AI.
Yeah.
Depending how you phrase things, you get better answers than others. It's not going to completely go away. It's going to be here to stay. So you're better off learning to use it. And it's just kind of like a tool. Because also I had another person who asked me, like, I feel guilty using AI. It's doing all my work for me, right? And I'm like, I use the analogy of, like, think of back in the day when everyone still farmed using horses and carriages, and then the first tractor came around. Well, the guy who had a tractor was doing so much more, able to do way more productivity. And so I'm sure those who eventually switched over to tractors as well became more productive as well. It's just a new technology.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of
Leverage
learn
it. Use
leverage
it.
it.
It's
And
a tool.
it'll help you accelerate. So
Yeah. I mean, the more I use it, I don't know, I get better at asking it questions, and giving it more details, because sometimes it's like, what are you talking about?
It's only as smart as the user. AI is not really that
So-
AI. It's more of a
No, it has its database, right? And
Yep.
it's just looking stuff up and giving you answers in a friendly manner.
Yep.
So yeah, it's cool stuff. So if you have any of your favorite apps, drop them below. I'd love to see. And make sure you visit our website for more tips, and on our newsletter especially, because I share, at least 3 different kinds of things every week. And then we have our free security assessment and our galactic scan that you can sign up for. So feel free to ask us questions, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Be productive.
Yes.